everyone, very welcome to Vyas Edification Kota. So today again in the series of NCERT discussion, we are going to discuss each and every question of your NCERT textbook, and in the today's session we are taking a chapter from class 11th, that is the living world, which is a very first chapter in your class 11th. This chapter includes 11 questions actually, and in this session we are going to discuss each and every question one by one. So the very first question we have is, why are living organisms classified? Why are living organisms classified? So first of all, you all need to understand that what is classification. What is classification? Now, you all people know the basic definition of classification, that classification is actually a system, a whole set of system which includes different processes, such as first we characterize any organism. The basic process which includes in the classification system is we characterize any organism first. Then we identify that particular organism, and after identifying the organism, what we do is we provide the organism their scientific as well as the common name. Alright, so this whole set of processes actually constitute a whole system which is known as classification, and after providing names to the organism, we classify those organisms based upon their characters into different groups. So classification is a whole set of processes which includes what does it include? First is characterization, in which we characterize the organism. We find what kind of characters are present in the particular organism which we want to identify, which we want to classify. So first what we do characterization, then after we identify the organism. Alright, we identify the organism based upon the characters present in it. Alright, then after what we do, we provide the name to particular organism, and that process is known as nomenclature. So the last process in this will be nomenclature. After doing all these three things or following these all three processes, we finally are in the position to classify any particular organism. So finally then we classify any organism. Now the question is actually, why do we classify these organisms into different groups? Why are the living organisms are being classified? Why? What is the need to classify these organisms into different categories? So first, if we talk about the reasons why we classify this is first is we want to identify the organism. All right, we want to identify the organism. These are the reasons. All right, these are the reasons. So first is we need to identify the organism. Then is we classify the organism to make our study easy. Alright, scientists classify the organism to make study convenient and to research on them. They classify the organism to make our study easy and convenient, and also it helps in researching. Alright, then first is identify, and second is to make study easy and convenient, and also it helps in research. Then third one is When we classify any organism into different categories, we find some similarities as well as dissimilarities among the organism, as well as we find the similarities and dissimilarities with other organism in particular group. So third thing is, it helps, the classification system helps to identify the similarities and dissimilarities. Alright, this is the reason. Then if we talk about the fourth reason would be, we find interrelationship when we classify an organism, when we follow all these steps, characterization, identification, nomenclature. What we find is that particular organism on which we are studying or on which we are researching, that particular organism is having interrelationship with different kind of organisms which have been put into different groups or that particular group. So we identify or we come to know the interrelationship of that organism with other organism. Alright, so with the help of classification, we will find the interrelationship and also one more important thing, the interrelationship with other organism, and also we get to know what are the ancestors, what would be the ancestors of that particular organism. So we can say that we will come to know the interrelationship of that particular organism with other organism, as well as we can find the phylogenetic relationship. Alright. Next thing is, with the help of classification, we get to know that how a complex organism actually has been evolved from a simple organism. Basically, classification helps us to understand the evolutionary process. So, for fifth point is, classification helps us to identify, know the evolutionary processes, that how any complex organism have evolved from a simple organism. So all these are the reasons, and this is the classification. I hope you got all the clear answer that what is classification and what is the answer of why the living organisms are classified. You have all this complete answer that what is classification. It is a system which includes different processes such as characterization, identification, nomenclature, and then finally we classify the organism. Alright, and here are the reasons why we need to classify the living organism, or what is the need to classify the living organism into different groups. Alright, which includes several kind of reasons. That first is we identify organisms. Alright, then it helps for making our study easy and convenient, and we can do research on them further. Then it also helps to find similarities and dissimilarities. Alright, then we can get to know the interrelationship as well as the phylogenetic relationship. And also classification helps to understand the evolutionary process, or we can say it also helps to understand actually how any complex organism has been evolved from a normal simple organism. As we know that during evolution, we know that first organisms were very simple, that were prokaryotic and unicellular. Alright, and now today we have most complex, most advanced organisms, multicellular organism, eukaryotic organism. So the study of classification is actually helpful to us to understand how we have evolved from a simple molecule, simple organism, unicellular prokaryotic organisms. We have evolved this much. So this actually set the basis to understand how evolution takes place? This is the complete answer of this question.